The Colts locker room is a place of discontent. Team captain Kenny Moore had some things to say in this one, and it wasn't complimentary at all. He said that he doesn't think that everybody is working hard at the same level. And you can see it in practice, and then it's translating to the field. Now, what we have seen in the game that the Colts had yesterday against the Buffalo Bills is that the defense is playing well. And when you look at Blackmon's comments as well, it seems like it's somewhere on the offense. They're not naming names. But who on earth could it be? Because it has to be, when there's smoke, there's fire. And when you have players within a locker room stating that things aren't going right and people aren't pulling their weight, it has to be the case. And these aren't guys who are normally flamboyantly aggressive, in the press, talking about this, that, and the other. So, boys, what do you think of this? Because apparently this Colts team is supposed to be good, but it's not really.
I'm kind of looking at this whole Anthony Richards situation as kind of like a mirror to the Josh Allen situation. I remember early on in Josh Allen's career, a lot of people said that, he wasn't quite cut out. Like, he could do some really good things athletically, but there was a lot of doubt around how he could kind of develop as a player. I kind of think, well, I'm sorry to say, Dilly, but you're kind of like the alternate reality where you go down the wrong path of benching AR instead of actually playing him. If Josh Allen wasn't given that time to develop, he doesn't become the player he is. And you've got to develop in games. Anthony Richardson hasn't played a lot of football in college. He was only a starter in Florida for a year. So he's got like a lot of catching up to do. Joe Flacco is not the answer long term, and he hasn't.
Well, we saw that in this game.
We saw that in this game. He's definitely not the answer going forward. You might as well get your young QB out there who's coming off a surgery as well. Get him those reps. He needs to play. Like, Steichen needs to understand your head coach isn't the franchise. Don't get me wrong. Like, if you mess this up, Steichen, it doesn't matter what you're able to do with my Eagles. Like, you're going to be out the door, and Ballard as well. Like, Anthony Richardson is the future. They need to start him. I understand. Maybe there's things.
Mess up is going back to the Eagles, isn't it?
Maybe we're not seeing certain things because, like I said, I think Shane Steichen has been quoted as saying, "You've got to go through the process every single day." He's a great person, phenomenal human being. Not losing faith. I trust him. We're going through the process right now. I get it. So, is there something happening behind closed doors that we don't know about? That's the question.
He doesn't. So the way that I understand it is the discontent appears to be that the team captains didn't know it. One, they weren't happy with the decision when it was made. Right? Mm-hmm. You can see that they weren't happy, especially on the other side of the ball. The logic was that Flacco gave his team the best chance to win. Flacco's first drive, pick six. First play, pick six. Second drive, pick. He had multiple picks in this game. He had a forced fumble. He lost a fumble. There's no way that he gave the team more of an opportunity to win this game than Anthony Richardson. But then, when you hear all these rumblings coming out of the team that people aren't pulling their weight as well, that's not going to slide. And for a team, so we look at all these teams in the league where they have good cultures, and now for the last decade, the Colts has had the majority of the last decade, the Colts have had a bad culture. The only thing that was keeping that team together was Andrew Luck, and once he left, the culture's gone. Now, in all seriousness, it does look like at the end of this season, if there's only one thing that the Colts will have to do to be able to salvage even the near future, because the fans are fed up, they don't trust anybody, and it will have to be a complete clear house and install somebody who is competent and who will bring about a new culture.
Yep.
Okay, so I think this is a much bigger issue than we thought, and I think it's more to do with the culture, not just the benching of Anthony Richardson. I think the benching of Anthony Richardson happened, but then you can't anticipate Flacco's going to play this badly in this game until he plays badly. That's the thing. I mean, I think you thought you're going to get the Joe Flacco that played last year for the Cleveland Browns when he came to relief because he played well. No, but I'm just saying that you can't predict the future, so you can't predict that he's going to play badly, which he has, which compounds the situation. Now, I think it's a clear example in terms of like the two coordinators from the Eagles that got head coaching jobs. And this is not a prop thing, right? But this is kind of like when you compare Steichen to Jonathan Gannon. I think Steichen, last year the Colts were good on offense. You guys were playing very well. Things were going very well, and
because he played to his like as we discussed in the video last week. He played to his strengths, and now he doesn't. It's anemic. It doesn't seem to work at all.
So basically, it means that the consistency hasn't been there. Because when I compare the two sort of like head coaches that came from the Eagles, like with my Cardinals, right? The one thing that hasn't changed, even though we are starting to have some success this year, is because we've always played hard, and that has been the tone. Even last year, when teams played the Cardinals, even though they'll beat us, they always said that we played with maximum effort, and there was no quitting in the guys. That they kept going, they kept fighting. And now, it's like when it comes to the Colts, the
there isn't a quit because the defensive side of the ball, there's no quit, and they keep them in the game every single week.
But I'm talking about overall. Even if one side quit, it's still a quitting aspect of the culture. Yeah. The coach has to be everywhere. Offense, defense, special teams.
Otherwise, it's never going to work.
Yeah. Exactly. When you set a culture, all phases of the ball has to play hard, and that's what I'm getting at. And I think if the defensive guys is feeling that the offense guys are not pulling their weight, the only way it works is I think Shane Steichen, your head coach, might have to start holding the offense and special teams accountable. They have to start becoming more accountability needs to be happening on the offensive side of the ball as well, because if that's not happening, then the defense will start feeling that and they will start making those concerns. So there's still time. He can still fix it in terms of like bringing accountability, but I don't know if he's not the thing. That's it. I don't know how that gets fixed, because I think obviously the defense is playing their part, but they feel like the other side of the ball is not doing it.
Well, if you look at it particularly, what he said is it never crossed his mind to even have packages to put Anthony Richardson into the game, even in like short yardage situations where you could have him on a read option, right? He didn't even think to do that. So what on earth is going on? That's the problem. There doesn't seem to be, if there's no accountability at the top.
I think
he looks like he's making he looks like he's making his own bed just to be fired at the end of the season. Which nobody wants people to be fired, but
my mind has been drawn to something though, because he was the OC when Hurts was with your Eagles, right? Yep. Right. And with Jalen Hurts earlier on, you guys used his legs more than his arm until his arm caught up and he started becoming more consistent in the passing game. Because remember, there were games whereby he would have more rushing yards than passing yards, and he would still be scoring touchdowns. So I wonder why he's not doing the same with Anthony Richardson.
The only thing,
like trades,
I've got to ask Dilly this question: the locker room, do they feel that this is a just benching? From what
I don't think they do.
I don't think they do, and I think that's why there's rumblings coming out of it.
That's the issue. So if this was like a just benching, if they saw that Anthony Richardson wasn't pulling his weight in the week to prepare, they could understand, because they're like, "Hey man, you've got to do the bare minimum. That's all we're asking."
I think we
can kind of see why he's benched, but that's not the case.
I think the problem, obviously, they haven't named names. Unlike some other, players within the NFL, they don't name names. They've kept it in house, but it just seems like something's not right, and the people who are suffering are the fans, because at the end they're the ones who basically pay their money to watch this team do nothing and not even really get anywhere.
Something is going on behind closed doors that we don't know about. Maybe they know something, because sometimes this could be a case of Shane is doing this to protect AR from something. Trying to keep it in-house. He doesn't want to say what it is, but it's making him look bad because he can't publicize or openly.
I did read that theory where Steichen is basically not saying what it is just to stop the flack and him taking all the flack.
Yep.
It's either that or he's incompetent.
Yeah.
It's quite binary in that kind of.
He must know that this is going to get him his ass fired. Like, this is not something you want.
Yeah, but why would you do that though?
Both him and Ballard. That's what I'm saying. It's got to be something serious enough to say. Like, and he's asked. Until I say otherwise, we're sticking with Flacco. He's literally saying
I think it's more the latter.
He's closed.
I think Steichen was thinking he could get lightning in the bottle twice, so to speak, because Flacco came in with Cleveland and was amazing. So you're thinking you might get that same, juice, same boost for the Colts.
Well, we saw the numbers. If you pressure Flacco, the numbers are awful. Like, it's like 40% completion rate. So.
Exactly. So I think he was thinking maybe this could be like genie in a bottle, like twice or something like that. I think that's what he was thinking, and it clearly hasn't worked out. But I'll go back to my earlier point saying that the reason why I say that it's mind-boggling for me is the fact that if Anthony Richardson, if his passing game is not quite there yet, in this game, use his legs, his mobility. We've done it with Jalen Hurts before. So why aren't you doing it with Anthony Richardson? When he was with the Eagles, Jalen Hurts, well, you're a testament to it. You used to complain that his passing wasn't quite there, but you guys were winning because
exactly.
Running.
Winning games.
So why are they doing the same?
If you look at young Josh Allen, he was criticized as being a running back. He wouldn't even look to throw the ball. He couldn't see his main option open. He'd tuck it and run. He was hurdling over players. And at some point, he made that transition. And he became an NFL QB. Now, here's the thing. Steichen needs to realize that this is the NFL. You probably don't get two chances here. Okay? So if you're not careful, you're going to be fired. And it's going to be a case of, I should have just started AR and rode it through. I could have done whatever I needed to do behind closed doors, but I should have just started him and rode it through. And here's the thing, Steichen, you may not get another chance as a head coach.
Yeah, that's the thing in this league.
You may not get another chance.
Well, if you look, that you might get one more chance, but you won't get it with a team that will be kind of in a good. You might get it, but you might have you might be a Frank Reich situation where he gets it with the Panthers, and then you're in a terrible situation again.
Frank Reich has had highlights. Steichen is yet to have that yet.
That's the thing. But all right, that's where this discussion will end.
Wait, before we go, I've got a question for you. Do you think you guys will go back to AR? That's my last question. Like how the Panthers
I don't trust them enough to be able to go back to AR. That's the thing.
Until I say otherwise, we're sticking with Flacco. Quoted
that is the quote. So I don't know what's going on in that head. And if you've enjoyed this discussion, because we're baffled, we don't know what's going on, please drop a like. Please subscribe, and we'll catch everybody on the next video.